Ernesto, welcome back to the Wingfoil Debrief.
Oh, welcome again. Thank you.
It's good to have you back on the show. I realized last time I kind of completely glossed over the Zaoli. I'm going to try and say it right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wings.
yeah. We forgot the wings.
Yeah, so I want to chat about that, but in the before we get into the details with that, I want to kind of hear what you've been up to.
Kind of a period off now. I'm focusing a lot on studying. But anyway, I still managed to go to the Italian championships. But my main goal now is studying because I have the final exams in June. So of course I will train every time I can, but I have to study like a lot of days. I have to study really all the day until the night. So now this period is just study and then training whenever I can.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I think we can all relate to having to get through those exams.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's an annoying time, especially when you want
Really
to
annoying
want to be on
time.
the water. Yeah. But also, I think last time we touched on you're kind of heading down that engineering route because you want to potentially have a career designing wings, designing foils, that
Yeah,
sort of
yeah, yeah.
stuff.
It's gonna be much useful for the future. I mean, it's okay to have a period off now because it's gonna be much more useful for the future. So it's okay.
Yeah, cool. I want to dive into the Italian champs a bit. I like. Can you give us an overview of what the structure is? It sounds like there's kind of multiple events that make up
Yeah, sure.
the Italian champs.
I mean, the Italian Championships is like maybe 20 events in one year, and is
Oh
divided
wow.
by like the stops of the Italian Championships, which is only five, which counts 1,000 points per stop, and then there is like a lot of GP stops, which counts only 500 points, and for the final rankings, they're gonna count four out of five of the 1,000 stops, and only the best, or maybe the best two, 500 point stop. But I'm not really focusing, like in general, I'm not really focusing on the Italian championships. I'm doing them to train, of course, to race with my friends, and also to try new gear and new strategies, especially now, like last week, I was in Giteria for the tennis championships, and actually it was a really good event. We had 3 days full of racing in strong wind, but it was not really my race. I only finished the in place overall. In the water, I was feeling like I was the fastest, but I was making so many strategy mistakes and stuff. I don't know really. I was going first. I was running in the first upwind, most of the times in first place, and then in the end I was finishing like in second or in third, and I was saying, okay, what's happening? And it was just me. But yeah, it happens.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Sounds like a really interesting format as well. Like here in Australia, we pretty much have our nationals, and that's the racing for the wing foil scene. So pretty cool to have an event like that where you can go to so many events if you choose. Or yeah,
Yeah,
is
it's
it
good.
just wing foiling?
What?
Is it just wing foiling for the Italian Championships just for wing foiling, or is it a series that's for multiple classes? Or
I mean, the class is wind foil and kite surf, but the event is only
okay,
wind foil.
okay,
But it's good that we have so many stops because, especially the 500 point stop, they are really in all Italy. So like everybody can participate at least to one or two events, and it's good because everybody can make some experience in racing. So there are some people who are focusing on the Italian championships and they do like all the stops, and then there are some local guys who just joined some stops and they can make a good experience, and they say and if they like it, they're gonna say, okay, let's go to the Europeans, or okay, let's go to the World Championship. So it's a good way to include people who are not used to race to make some racing and enjoying the big events.
okay. So it's the full range as well. So if you're just starting to get into wing foil racing,
Yeah,
you can go to those events.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. And what sort of courses do they run? Is it upwind, downwind, or slalom, or
We are like trying to copy paste the World Championship format. So we were supposed to do the long distance in the first race, in the first day of racing for long distance races. But we had some problems with the cost because the wind was a bit onshore, and the founder was really deep. but like there were 300 meters of water, so like outside to make a long upwind, so they couldn't manage to make a long distance. So we went for short track races. So then in the second, no, it was not in the third day. The wind was a bit more side, so we managed to they managed to put a long distance course. So on the last day we did the long distance races, and in the first and second day we did the short course races. But like exactly like the World Championship format. So BS course, 8 races, these cars process and everything. It's like copy paste of the World Championships, but at the Italian Championship.
And do you get people still showing up with single skin wings, or everyone's on race gear, or
No,
big mix?
no. Like everybody, I mean, I think in Giteria, everybody apart from like couple 12 years old guys, they were everybody on full double skin.
Yep. Yeah, it seems like it's starting to take over.
Yeah, yeah. Now if you want to do racing, you cannot go on a single skin. Otherwise, you're not
Cool.
gonna be
And that,
you're gonna be done at the start.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So the event that you've just had sounded like it was stronger winds.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, like the first day was probably 16 to 18 knots. Then the second day
Yep.
was actually looking like a day off. There was no wind until 3 or 3:30, and then he picked up like 40 knots. So at the beginning it was too
Wow.
strong to go in the water because like the all the sand was flying on the beach and it was impossible to reach out the water. But then it picked down a little bit, was like 25 to 30, and we managed to go out and race, and was really challenging. And then the third day was like a bit lighter than the first day, was like 40 knots. And actually it's the same place of the World Championship in July, so it was a good training field for the World Championship.
Awesome. That's great. I know from our last chat, you were saying you're about 75 kilos,
Yeah,
70
nice.
kilos, something like
I
that.
waited yesterday. I'm 75, so yeah, not
Yeah.
not super heavy.
How do you find the weight differential? Was there heavier guys at the event, and was that difficult with the stronger breeze?
Yeah, it's difficult because if you don't pump, you're like 1 or 2 knots slower in every gate. Like there was Francesco, I think he's like 90 kilos, something like that. He's much taller than me, much stronger. And in a strong way, he was flying. He was really fast, and I had to pump so bad to stay with him. He was pumping like he was not pumping as strong as me. That's a big weight difference in the strong wind. But I mean, if you're lighter, you're gonna be a bit slower in the strong wind, but a bit faster in light wind. So I think it's fair. There's not really like a weight in a full event. It's rare to have like everyday light wind or everyday strong wind. The conditions are gonna be changing every day, so I think it's quite fair.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. And you touched on some strategy mistakes potentially. Have you had a chance to kind of debrief those and sort of figure out
Yeah, I was
where you
watching the
went wrong?
videos, but I was already realizing during the race because I was like it was a two upwinds, like there was a downwind, the gate, and then upwind. I was going to one side, tacking, and the guys on the other side, but every time who were behind, they were every time over me, like after the tack. And it was crazy. I was getting so angry because the wind was unpredictable because there was the sun against you and you couldn't see the gas or the wind shift or nothing, so you were just going by feeling, like you say, yeah, on the coast, like close to the beach is supposed to be stronger with less current. So that was my strategy. But most of the times when I was stacking, the guys going super like outside, they were always over me, and I was saying, no, please, no.
You were kind of expecting a bit of land effect, and
Yeah, yeah,
somehow the guys that went away from the land managed to
exactly.
to come good. Okay, interesting. Was it somewhere that you've raced before?
Oh, sorry.
Have you raced at that location
Yeah,
before?
it's actually like the I raced there in 23, 24. So it's the fourth time I go there. In
Okay,
fact, most of the
cool.
times, like there was a big cost effect, and I was always going close to the beach. But I don't know what happened this year. Maybe the wind changed a little bit, was a bit more from onshore, but most of the times was better to go outside. And I was always saying, yeah, it was just like now it's gonna be better on the beach. I go on the beach again, and every time was better on the outside.
Yeah, learnt your lesson.
Yeah. Lesson for
Yeah.
the World Cup.
Cool. There you go. Great. Well, yeah, I'm keen to chat about the wings. I mean, we kind of forgot last time. So give me a rundown. Tell me about them.
Okay. So my wings are Zaoli, and going back to the Europeans, I used the 07, but I registered also the 5, but obviously I didn't use it because it was light wind. And talking about the Italian championships, I used the 6.5 and the 5 meters. I could use the 7, especially on the third day, and the other guys were on the 7. But I didn't want to go on the 7 because in Sivaplana for the Youth World Championship, the wing size limit is gonna be 6.5. So I'm trying to lower my wind limit on the 6.5 and push it to the real limit, considering that in Sivaplana is not gonna be it's not expected to be like strong wind. And also because if it's like 20 knots in Sivaplana, you feel like it's 12 because we are super high. So I'm trying to maximize the 6.5 at the Italian Championship, and then yeah, the World Cups are of course I'm gonna use the 7, but in the training at the Italian Championship, I try to maximize the 6.5.
Yeah. Okay. And so you've got a 7, a 6.5, and a 5. Are they the three that you have?
Yeah, three sizes.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think is it necessary to have like are you able to get away with just owning two, or do you think you have to have
Yeah, I
a
think
third?
we can. I think of course, if you have 6.5 and 5, you're good from like
Mm.
6 knots to 35 plus. Considering
Yep.
also that Julien at the Europeans he registered the 6.5 and I registered the 7, we try to make a kind of a comparison, and he likes to go on smaller sizes, and it was really fast. But as you saw, the 6.5 is really maximizable also in like 6 knots, 7 knots, 8 knots. It was the wind condition of the Europeans. But at the same time, as soon as it's gonna be 20 plus, you just put the 5 and you're perfect. And it's kind of the same condition also on the 7. You're gonna be a bit more in power in light wind and a bit more overpowered than the 6.5 in like 18 knots, but like on 18 knots you're already in well power on the 5, because our wing are super powerful, so you can already put the 5 in like 15 knots. So is the wind range is really is crazy. You're good both if you have 6, 5 and 5, but also if you have 7 and 5.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed on their website they say 6 to 8 knots for each wing size. To me, that doesn't sound quite right. It seems like the range is much wider per wing. What would you say? Like, so your 6.5 covers you from that 6 knots to 20 knots by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna be overpowered, but you're still gonna be super keen to race. It's gonna be really good anyway. Like I mean, you're gonna be a bit overpowered on the upwind, but then you're gonna be super fast on downwind. You can race in more than 8 knots range. I think it's more.
Yeah.
I mean, they always
Yeah.
try to be I'd say that preservative on the website, but
Yeah.
actually it's
Yeah.
much wider than they say.
Yeah. And I think it makes sense too. Like, there's definitely an optimal wind range where it feels comfortable to use, and I would say that it probably is that 8 knot
Yeah,
sort of
exactly.
window.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you can squeeze so much more out of them in both the low end and the top end with
Mhm.
technique and time on the water.
Yeah.
So that makes
Exactly.
sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything like specific about these wings that are different to the rest of the fleet?
Let's see. I think a lot of wings, like a lot of brands, decided to go for a high aspect ratio. Like for example, there are some. Let's take our 7, like the Zaoli 7 and the value. The 7 value is at a span of 4 meters, 15 centimeters, something like that, which is super long. And our 7
Mm,
meters has a wingspan of 3 meters 70, something like that. So it's much shorter. And there's a big difference in terms of like performance on the simulator. Like the value is supposed to be much faster than our wing, but then if you go in the water, you can maximize the Zaoli much more because the value is really long. In fact, nobody's using the 7.5. Everybody's using the 6.5, and I think is because of the wingspan. And if you can maximize a shorter wing, you're gonna be as fast as longer wings, but not maximized as easier wings. And then at the same time, on downwind, you're gonna be faster because you have more power on the boom. So you maximize the wing on upwind more, and you're gonna be faster on downwind. So I think going for like I mean not going for, but not respecting too much the computer simulation can help the riders to have a more rideable wing, because if you have a too long wing, you cannot maximize, you're never comfortable on the water. But if you have an easy wing, you say, okay, I can push it much more than this because it's easy to use and it's not gonna be touching the water. So you can go faster, you can feel more sure, and you're faster.
Yeah, yeah. So span is a really critical element of design for a wing, because it kind of helps you balance that usability versus theoretical performance.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, for example, the first time I tried a Zaoli, it was a prototype, and the span was really long. Like it was a 6.5, and the span was like 394, something like that. It was super long, and I was used to ride the North, which was super short. It's like the 6.2 is like 3 meters 49, and I was going upwind, and the tip just touched the water, and I destroyed the wing because I just went with the foil and the body inside there, and I said, guys, this is not super comfortable. So and they said, yeah, okay, but on the simulator it's super fast. And I said, okay, but as long as I ride like this, it's fast. But then as long as when I do like this, I crash, it's not super comfortable. So I said, okay, let's just go for a shorter wing, and I can maximize it more, be faster on upwind, be faster on downwind, and be as fast as a super long wing on upwind. And they said, okay, makes sense, let's try. And then this wing was released.
Yeah, cool. It makes a lot of sense. I One other thing I was curious about, and it's something you can't really tell from photos, maybe from videos, but the stiffness of the frame and the stiffness of kind of the boom, or like the inputs from the boom to the overall structure of the wing. Is it on the stiffer end, or is it something that has a bit like it? Does it breathe a bit? Where does it kind of sit amongst some of the other designs?
I think the material is making a big difference. In my opinion, the best quality of Zaoli is the stiffness of the wing. Um, they made some tests in the factory, and we can put them at really, really, really high pressure. I'm talking about more than 30 psi. Um,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, 30, and but we are only pumping them at 8 psi. But the Aramida, which is the material we are using on the for the bladder, is really really stiff, and at the same time the canopy is super stiff too, and the wing like feels amazing in the ends. You always feel like you have the right power, not depending from the wing. You feel like you always are in power, even if it's like 5 knots. You pump a little bit the wing, and you say, wow, I'm in power, even if you're on a 6.5.
Yeah. The two things that come to mind when you have a stiffer wing, um, a usually it would come with some sort of weight penalty, but it seems like the Zaoli is listed as 3 kilos from what I've seen. It's on the lighter end, out of the wings. Is there something specific that allows it to be light whilst being stiff? Is it just that material selection, or?
No, there's nothing. I mean, on the half double skin, there were the buttons on the tips, so that the wind was not like cracking like this with the tips. But now it's just there are no buttons. It's just the material. Um I think they're using one frame of Aramida and like couple frames of canopy, but the wing is super light and it's super stiff. I don't know how they do it. It's crazy.
Magic.
Yeah, I mean it's not
Yeah.
super. It's a bit fragile, but yeah, it's okay. It's racing gear.
Yeah. Another thing that comes to mind when you talk about more stiffness, usually that means quite direct sheeting, like your inputs from your hands. Is it tricky to trim this wing? Like, do you have to be quite intentional with trimming because it doesn't have that flex?
I mean, in general, with the full double skin, you have to have a lot of sessions before understanding it. Uh, but actually, I think that with a stiffer wing, it's gonna be easier to find the limit, because if you have a not stiff wing, like let's pick the old fusion, which is not a not stiff wing, but it's still like in the Akron, so it's not as stiff as the Zaoli. To find the wing limit, you have to consider the strength of the wing, how much you pump the wing, if you're going upwind or downwind, because the wing is gonna be a different profile in every gate and in every wing condition, because the Dakron is not safe, so it's gonna change profile in every single condition. But so your arms are gonna be changing like often, so I think it's more difficult to find the right angle and the right setup. So at the same time, if you have a stiff wing like the Zaoli, like you find your setup, and it's the same setup but in light wing, in strong wing, in upwind, on downwind. So I think if you have a stiffer wing, it's easier to find the right setup. It's gonna be a bit more muscular because you feel more power, but it's gonna be easier. I mean, in changing from 6 knots to 30 knots, the only one thing that I change is just that I move the harness 2 centimeters more on the back. The rest is all the same.
Yep. That brings me to something I was thinking about, and something I've kind of been playing with during my recent sessions. Harness line length. Do you vary? Like, do you adjust your harness that often? And how do you find the performance of? Well, yeah. How do you settle in on a harness line length, say for upwind?
Okay, the harness lines were a big issue actually for me, especially at the beginning of the year. But not only the harness lines, also the harness itself. Because especially in Hong Kong and before Hong Kong, I was having absolutely no idea on where to put the harness lines, how long, where to put the harness, if to have like the low harness, medium harness, high harness. I tried everything, because I was used to the North profile and North way of riding, which was a 40% double skin less stiff than the Zaoli. At the beginning, I was just trying to copy paste the setup on the Zaoli. It was not working at all. And at the same time, I was watching the other people using super short harness lines and high harness. So I tried to shorten the harness lines and put a super high harness like here, but didn't work. I was feeling no power on the wing, and I was feeling super unstable. Then I tried the medium harness and a bit longer harness lines, and were okay. In the end, in Hong Kong, I decided to go for low harness lines and low harness and short harness lines. But actually, was not the best choice because I was not managing to pump at all, because the wing was too low, and the pressure and the balance was not good. So when I came back home, I tried the medium harness with the super short harness lines, and was actually a good setup, and is the same setup that I use now. But actually, racing, I never changed the harness lines length. I mean, only if I do a long reaching, I just length them and length them. But then I just leave them like that, because on upwind I use them super short, and on downwind I don't use the harness. So one size for everything, unless it's reaching.
Yep. And for our audio only listeners, I've started posting these on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So when you say mid harness line, you're probably saying about your sternum height, like kind of where your rib cage finishes in the
Sorry.
middle. So for like the medium harness height, where would you say that is? Like around where your rib cage kind of finishes, or?
Yeah, let's see. This is the low. This is the
Yep.
mid.
So about like your waistband.
Yeah,
Yep.
waist.
Yep.
And
Yep.
there is here
And then
just under the chest, and
sternum.
the high is
Yep.
over the chest.
Yep. All right. Cool. That'll help the people on Spotify.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's definitely something I've been playing with a lot. I found that sort of middle kind of setup to be quite nice. It doesn't load your back up too much.
Yeah, because
I was,
it's a
yeah,
good compromise between pumping and setup. Because on the high harness, I was pumping really well. I was feeling all my body was free, so I was pumping very well. But as soon I was trying to speed up a little bit, it was super slow. And then it was the opposite on the low harness lines, which was and I was fast in terms of speed, but I was not managing to pump at all. So I decided to go for an average and was perfect.
sweet. And you touched on for reaching. So reaching when it's a longer reach, you'll adjust your harness lines long and be hooked in. But if it's a short reach, you just hang on for it.
Yeah, I mean, like in free racing is like 400, 500 reaching. So I just go without the
Yeah.
harness, or if I'm not fighting, I just hook in and I don't push, because I'm scared that while lengthen them or shorten them, I'm afraid to make some trouble. So I said, okay, better to be a bit more conservative, but not risk. But I mean, if I will do the fee this year, I'm not going to the fee. If I will do the fee, I will use like the waist harness and super long harness lines. That's the best setup, because on reaching you find you only need speed. So coming back to the speech of before, you go for the waist harness for speed. You don't need to pump, and that's it.
Yeah. And you're using a smaller wing, so you're not going to run into the issue of the span
Yeah,
and the wingtip hitting the
exactly.
water. So I wanted to jump back to what we were chatting about with the wing pressures. So it sounds like do you run the wings at 8 psi?
Yeah, I mean, in training, yeah. In racing, I pump them a bit more, like the boom at 9.5 psi and the strat at 9. But you can pump them up to 12. They write 8 on the wing, uh, because already on 8 psi is perfect. You're not gonna feel not stiff. It's super stiff already at 8 psi, but you can pump them up to 12.
Interesting. And you don't go all the way to 12. You want a bit of breathing, or for the longevity, is there a reason you don't pump them all the way to 12?
I don't go to 12 because I don't feel any difference. Uh,
Okay.
because if you have a full double skin, also the canopy is gonna be at pressure. So if you put it at 9 or at 12, there's not gonna be difference at all. So I just put it at 9, that I know that's a good pressure, which is like a little bit better than 8 psi, but it's exactly the same as 12. So you go for 9, you're safe, and the wing is not gonna explode, hopefully, and you're just good on you're perfect on 9.
And do you ever like top up the wing pressures between races or maybe during your training sessions, or
I would.
do you like add extra pressure to
Ah,
your wings,
no,
say
no,
after a couple of races, or just
no, no, no,
pump
no,
them up
no.
at the start of the day?
Pressure is staying like all the day, so it's good.
Okay, cool. Good to know. I've kind of, yeah, I've heard some people choose to do that sometimes and some others don't. So it's good to get some different perspectives. The the last thing I wanted to touch on today, while I've got you, there was a recent post by Vayu about sail controls on the wings.
Okay.
I think maybe to like, induce a slightly different shape, maybe add a bit of depth to downwind or something like along those lines. I was curious on your thoughts on sail controls with wings.
Yeah. I mean, we tried the trim system on the boom, but it works only on some profiles. I think it works only on high aspect ratio wings. For example, on the values working. I think also on the R&D is working, but I never tried it. But I think it works on the R&D. It works only also on the old Fusion, but not on the new Fusion. If I will remember, we try to put the trimming system on our shape. I mean, you do like 10 degrees more on downwind, but you're 4 knots slower, so the VMG is much
Mm,
worse. So we just decided not to go for it, and it's actually an advantage because you have a lighter wing, easier wing, and with less like things on the boom. You're already like quite full and under pressure during the race, and not having a trimming system is actually a good thing because our wing is super fast in all the gates without lines and things to adjust on the profile. So we are not gonna go on the streaming system right now, and we are not even thinking about that.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I think if you can not have to use it, that's great. Simplicity seems to win out over most things. It's kind of ties back to how you were talking about high aspect versus low aspect. Like theoretically, yes, it's probably faster to try and optimize the shape of your wing, but if you're spending time thinking about that and not the racetrack and the people around you, then
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
probably not for the
for
best.
example, the new value works especially thanks to this streaming system because they build the wings in function of this streaming system. But what if it breaks? The wing is not gonna be working. Who knows? Like on upwind is gonna be good, but on downwind, if you cannot trim your wing, is it gonna be working? Both. I mean, in the end, it's just like a super thin line. So it's easy if it breaks. If you crash into someone, if your foil touches the line, if it just explodes, the knot is gonna be done. If is it gonna be work? Both.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You're just dropping out a little bit there, but I think I got you. But yeah, I mean that's kind of a good place to wrap. I asked Julian the same question during his episode, and sounds like you guys have got roughly similar opinions. So it's interesting to hear. Um, yeah, thanks again for coming on the show again, and sorry that I missed chatting about the wings last time.
No, 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 no. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Oh, good. All the best for your exams, by the way.
No, they're going good. Yesterday I did English exam actually, uh,
Yep.
like to have the certification, and went good. And now next week I have a lot of tests at school, both oral and written tests. Uh, then on Friday I'm gonna fly to Turkey, where I have to study like a lot. I think I'm gonna need to wake up every day at 6 a.m. before the races. Then I come back, I do other exam at school, then I have the final exam, then there is Silva Plana World Cup, then the Youth World Championships, then there is the oral final test at
Wow.
school, and then there is Giteria World Championship. So it's quite a full period for me.
Absolutely. All right. Well, good luck. Good luck for
Thank
all
you.
of that. And I'm sure you'll be back on the show to have a chat later on. So
Yeah, thank you, man.